Good morning everybody, welcome back to another film. Just making myself a quick coffee before I head out. It's 1 degree outside. There's frost on the van this morning when I got out. That's the first frost of the year for where I live. So it really feels quite chilly. We've had weeks and weeks of hot weather leading up to this point, and suddenly the temperature's dropped. It's quite a shock. I'm sat in here, I've got the diesel heater on, got my woolly hat ready, and I'm a bit reluctant to go out. It's that cold outside. So I've come to a new location, certainly a new location for the channel. I was here a week ago with a couple of friends, and we had a walk around, and it's a really interesting location. And I've got a plan going forward of what I'd like to shoot for this location, and I'm going to put the map of the little woodland that I'm in now. It's not a very big location, but there's some nice routes through it. Now my plan going forward after today is to find a route, and I'm going to retrace my steps of that route every time I come, and I'll put the route on at the end of the video as well, so you can see what I'm going to be walking in the future. But I've always said that every time you come to a location, it changes day on day in many cases. There's lots of things affect the things that we're looking for as photographers. The weather conditions can affect sort of rain, fog, mist, snow, ice, and then you've got the time of day, you've got the lighting conditions. All these things change how we see a different location, and it's often the case that we think that we just go to a location in spring, summer, autumn and winter, and that's it, job done. But I like to think there's more to a location than just that, and I'm hoping to prove that by walking this same footpath each time I come to see what reveals itself photographically. So I'll grab a quick brew now, and I will see you outside. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be a really interesting little project, so I'll see you in just a second. Well, it's warmed up a little bit since I got up this morning. The sun's now up. I can see it's catching the distant trees over there. The sun's actually rising off to my right hand side. Now I have to say there's not a cloud in the sky this morning. I think it's going to be like that for the whole of the day. Some would argue that it's far from ideal, those conditions, to have a photographic session in, and I'm making it particularly more difficult for myself, the fact that I'm working in a woodland. But I'm keen to explore this route and find out where I'm going to be walking over the coming videos. I always maintain that there's always something to be found in any conditions, and hopefully I will prove that to be the case today in this pretty difficult light as it's going to be. As I always see, it's just about learning to see. So let's go and see what we can find. So I've just entered the wood, and I've come to a little crossroads, and I'm trying to decide whether to go left or right. I think I'm going to go right. Very, very still this time of year. There's some lovely light behind me on the fields there, but photographically there's not a lot to tempt me. So yeah, I think I'm going to go that way. That's my plan. I'll go anti-clockwise. So as per normal, no preconceived ideas. I rarely do that these days. I find that just let creativity take hold and photograph whatever takes my fancy, whatever speaks to me, as they say, as I'm walking round. I find that way I'm very rarely disappointed, and I'm often rewarded. So another crossroads. Oh, that looks tempting up there. I don't know whether you can see it all. So that way it looks more enclosed. There's looks like there's lots of beech and a bit of birch, and the other way looks a little bit more open with more birch and a lot younger trees. Oh, choices, decisions. I think I want to go that way. Let's go that way. Well, some interesting trees for sure in this location with a nice big oak tree here. This big old limb and a fallen birch by its side, and just as I turn round there's a nice interesting looking Scots pine at the back with all its branches almost look like they've been windblown. Yeah, lots of promise for the right conditions. I feel a little bit like I've set myself up for a fail. Not in the sense that I'm not going to find anything on these routes, but more of a mental fail. Is that the right word? I want to explore the whole place. I want to route around, and I've committed to this idea of doing a route, and I am going to stick to it. So it's important that I stop regularly and really pay attention to everything around me, and I'm doing that now. But it's that mentality of knowing that you've taken one path and there might be something down another path. Now, I've deliberately come up here when I was making the choices down there. The reason I chose this was because the last time I came I actually went the other way. So I thought it was nice at least to start this with a fresh pair of eyes and not know what's coming up. I felt that was the fairest way to do this little exercise, but I can't help wanting to go here, there and everywhere, but that's not going to leave me with a defined route for the exercise. So I am going to stick to the plan, but it's just mentally, it's just really quite difficult, and that proves the point that it's so easy to just wander around aimlessly when sometimes it's best just to focus on seeing rather than what the brain's telling you that you should be doing, and just taking your time and really absorbing what's on a small plot that's available to you. So stick to the plan. That's my advice. In the light up there now, that's got to be a shot. That's got to be a shot. Yes, blue sky, backlit oak leaves. That has to be a shot. The way that the leaves are fanning out in the canopy is really attractive. So I think we could be in for the first image. And that wasn't made up. That wasn't pre-planned. So there really wasn't any time to waste there. I've taken a sequence of images and I've tweaked the composition twice. My initial composition, which I gravitated to in the rush of the moment, wasn't the one that I finally ended up with, which is this one here, which I really like. But the light was just catching the top of the oak tree there, and it just looked beautiful. It's gone off a bit now, but the oak tree is so striking when you look up at it. And I was literally just walking through the footpath here. You saw it in real time. I was just minding my own business. I'd just done my little talk to the camera, and just happened to look up, and there it was. A lesson to us all: make sure you look up as well as down and around. And I've said that so many times. My hands are freezing. I've not had a chance to get going, but I'll just quickly show you this on the back of the camera now, and then I'll put it on. Really quite pleased with that for a first shot. So this is the composition that I've arrived at, and I've deliberately left the exposure quite dark. At the moment I'm exposing for the blue sky above, and the actual base exposure, the correct exposure would be about there, but this is really interesting. What I'm thinking of for this image is potentially more of a high key image, but what I wanted to point out is that when you're organising your frame, when you're setting shots up like this, it's useful to actually overexpose the image, and by doing that you can see the main components of the tree structure. When it's correctly exposed, for the highlights, you'll find that all the leaves start to come into correct exposure, and what happens then is you lose the structure of the tree and you can't compose properly. By deliberately overexposing prior to taking the shot, you can really see what you're doing when you're lining everything up. But just on the composition front, obviously you've got all these lovely branches radiating out, but this central rib here that's crucial has got a lovely nice little S-bend in it, which I really like. And this branch over here on the left, whilst it sort of aesthetically it's not as nice as the branches up above, but it does create an anchor, and it helps to balance that left hand side. It's an 80mm lens. I'm at f/16, and we've got exposures ranging between 5 seconds, even 8 seconds in that instance, right through to 1.5 seconds. So I'll put that on now. So I'm doing something a little bit odd right now, having left that last image, and I'm walking at pace. It's not something that I generally do, but I've spent the best part of 2023 getting fit, losing a little bit of weight, and which has involved running 4 or 5 days a week, and a bit of strength training, just trying to get myself in condition. But what I've realised, the negative side of that, is that I normally come out for a walk with the camera, and when you're a little bit less fit, you get warmer quicker. So I'm having to walk through the woods and get a bit of a pace on to try and warm myself up, because by the time I'd finished that last shot, I was freezing. So there's I either make sure I wrap up a little bit warmer next time I come, or do some star jumps outside the van before I start, because this is ridiculous having to do this now just to try and get myself warmed up. So I'm missing opportunities as part of this walk already, but I'm pretty convinced that once I get warmed up and I get to another little section, I'll start to see things again. But for now, priority is to get warm. Oh, well, I'm certainly warm now. 10 minutes of hard effort with the bag on the back. In fact, I'm so warm, taking the gloves off and the hat for a second. Oh, that's better. Oh. So, I've pretty much walked, I would say now, 3/4 of the entire route, most of it at a fair old pace. Quite a lot of it, of the woodland, you can see, just all around me in fact, is dense, thick rhododendron, which is not a native species in the UK, and not the easiest thing to photograph, not something I would normally want to photograph. The leaves are very waxy, and the fact that it's purely non-native tends to put me off. But the last thing I need on this type of photography idea is to be giving myself any further restrictions than what I've already got. So hopefully I can slow down now. The trouble with walking quickly through the wood is that you tend to get into that that mindset of moving quickly, and I may well have trouble now trying to slow down again and relax. So I want to spend a couple of minutes just mooching around here, just to chill out again, and maybe have a bite or something to eat and a drink, and then get back on track. So I'll see you in just a second. So I've moved just a little way from where you just saw me. I did have a bite to eat and a drink, and I've just been walking along this little section here, thinking to myself that if I'm not careful I'm going to end up back where I started. And as you can see, there's still quite a lot of rhododendron about, but I was about to tell you something and I've no idea where it's come from. There's pine needles on the floor. Where the heck have they come from? Oh, there we go. There's one single Scots pine tree just here, quite a young one, just off to the right of the camera. So on the floor, you can see that there's lots of pine needles amongst fallen leaf litter, one of my favourites. But as you see, if you go in closer, you can see how those yellow needles really pick out. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes looking around here for a composition, because I think there's a nice pattern picture to be had here somewhere. So, time to get the camera out. Right. I rather like that one actually. I don't want to move the camera. I was just about to demonstrate what I've been doing. So I've been moving the camera different positions. I've got it set at a height that I'm happy with, where the needles are not too small, so they're insignificant, and they're not too big, that you lose the overall abstract feel to the image. Now, it's a well-trodden path, and there's lots of birch leaves on the path, and they've been mulched down to almost a black, inky look on the image, and I'm going to try and retain that, but I'm going to expose for the lighter portions of the needles, and it is just a case of moving the camera around in various positions at that height to where I see a composition that I really like. I'm going to take a few different ones and just pick the best one. It's something that I've done before. I did a similar thing with a stream in a couple of videos back, where I had to take lots of pictures and then really do a full appraisal once I got back at the computer. So that's what I'm going to do here. But having said that, I quite like this one, and I'll just show you a quick snippet of it on the back of the camera now before I move off. But in terms of lenses, you'd be interested to know this isn't a macro lens. This is just what's it start at? 45 to 85 mm lens. It's around about a 28 to 70 on a full frame camera, so it's not outside of the realms of people without macro lenses. So like I said, this at the moment I'm at f16, sometimes f19, I can't decide, probably f16, and making sure that the camera is nice and flat to the back. The centre plane is nice and parallel, should I say, to the floor. So I will continue taking a few of these images, and I'll put the best one on now. Well, that's it from me for today, folks. I'll put the images on at the end as normal, but what I am going to do on this occasion is I'm going to plot today's images on the map, and what I plan to do in future videos when I do this same route is add the additional images on so you can see them plotted on the map as I go along. Now, I am allowing myself to stray just a little bit from side to side off the footpath, but for the most part I'll be sticking to the path as much as possible. Sometimes it just pays just to go into the wood just a little bit, just to explore bigger compositions and not just always be reliant on the things that I see down on the ground. So 10 or 15 feet off in either direction is what I'm thinking of. So let me know what you think of today's images in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. So until next time, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.